I'm on the fence about what to call this video. I had two titles in mind. Is it okay to charge a lot for music lessons? Because I do, and I am, and you should too, and we'll talk about it. But also title number 2, why so many music teachers are broke. And if you watch this video, do not worry, I will answer both questions. But let me get there. Let me weave the story a little. It'll be way more worth it if you take the journey with me. Because I've seen two separate threads coming through my comments in recent weeks. The first is people commenting on my ads, taking issue with the whole idea that I'm charging money for music instruction writ large. Then there's a second theme, which you might not assume is immediately related, which is people complaining about how hard it is for musicians to make a living. And I can't help but think, maybe one is related to the other. Like, both of these problems would be solved if music teachers just knew their worth. I'm just saying. But let's get into this. Is it ethical to charge a lot of money for music instruction? How much? What determines if it's good or bad? Because there is definitely sleazy stuff out there and people crossing ethical lines. And how can music teachers benefit from this brain download? We'll answer all of that and more. Today on 80/20, is it okay to charge a lot for music instruction? / why are so many music teachers broke? Stay tuned. When you're playing drums and you go for a fill or a lick, do you find you get locked up and it doesn't quite come out the way you heard it in your head? It doesn't flow. Did you think that was a sponsor read? Nope, that's actually part of this video. This is the ad I'm currently running for my live coaching program, which you can sign up to hear more about at the link below this player. Wait, I thought this wasn't an ad read. I'm so confused. Is this education or rampant commerce? Anyway, I've been running that ad, and it's for a live coaching program where participants get 2 live workshops every week, a 12-module curriculum, and personalized feedback on any homework they submit to us, and they can submit a lot of homework. And the program is not cheap. I won't mention a specific price by the time you see this video, but let's just say it's a low to mid 4-figure amount. That's a non-trivial amount of money. I've paid that before for courses or coaching, but sometimes it wasn't an easy decision. So it's probably no wonder it's not a great fit for some people, which is also why I have much cheaper courses, which I also think are great. And then I give a ton of stuff away for free on YouTube, which if you were patient enough, you could probably spend a few months going through the entire back catalog, putting together a playlist of like all of Nate's greatest free tips, and I'm sure it would be valuable, all for free. But that doesn't stop people who don't even know the price from leaving comments like this on my ads. But send you a bunch of money and all will be golden, right? And then he continues, you're cashing in. What you're offering is freely available from people who actually care about helping people develop. Not just so they can make money from simple logical principles that they didn't invent, but because they know you get it. And this is kind of an internet law of physics. If you run an ad for anything that you're charging money for, you're gonna get this kind of comment eventually. And people are entitled to their opinion. I'll explain in a few minutes why I disagree, but they can think whatever they want and I don't begrudge this. But let's look at the other side of this. Don't worry, we'll get back to my response to the people who think I've sold out, but I want to pick up one more thread. Last month, I made a video about whether jazz was dead or dying in New York, and I got a ton of a type of comment I didn't really expect. You see, I was pessimistic, but I wasn't half as glass empty as these guys. I think the future of NYC's creative scene will depend on aggressively and assiduously building new housing. Public housing, low-income housing, student housing, even housing for dreaded yuppies and normies. There's an obvious material problem undergirding the current artistic drought. Here's the truth. Living in New York is expensive, but it's not as much of a closed tunnel of inevitable doom as these comments might portray. There are all kinds of people living good lives here, arbitraging things in certain ways, hustling in some ways so they can relax in others, but practically everybody who stays here long enough figures it out. That is totally unscientific anecdotal, by the way. You should not quote me on that. In my anecdotal experience, you kind of learn the laws of physics, then build a life that's part of the gig economy, part making connections, part hanging in there for long enough for serendipity to strike. But you know who I don't generally see doing this well? Music teachers. Check out some of these assumptions. You have to teach locally, you can only charge what locals will pay for lessons, you can only teach one lesson at a time, and you have to be employed by a school in order to make a good income, etc. So I'm going to talk about how music teachers can charge more and earn more. But wait, you might be thinking, doesn't that mean you're just saying the only solution is to sell out? Now it's time to talk about that. I want to talk about when it's okay to charge premium prices for your services and how to do it. But before I get there, I want to debunk some of the mindsets a lot of us may have around money and earning money that we may not even know we have. Assumption the first. There's nothing wrong with working for a company and getting a paycheck. But if you sell services directly to clients or students, that's sleazy or used car salesman. Just think about that for a second. I'm not even gonna really respond to it very much. I'm just gonna let you search your heart on it a little because I think some of us kind of think that. And also, as soon as you drag it out into the light of day, you realize it's ridiculous. Like, say you work for Google. You sit behind a desk coding all day. You never see a customer. That's for other people to worry about. So sales and marketing keep the lights on, and biz dev keeps all the funding flowing. So you can keep your salary and don't have to sell to anyone personally. Or say you work at Starbucks. People come in and hand you money for a cup of coffee, but you never have to sell them anything. 30 years of branding and advertising have done that for you. So you never have to ask anybody if they'd like to pay for a cup of coffee and hear the word no. Again, not even going to respond, just think about it. Assumption the second. The only thing that makes information worth paying for is you can't find it anywhere else for free. At the risk of feeding the trolls, one comment I get fairly regularly on ads is, this is all stuff you could find for free. In fact, let's flash that comment from earlier again. And usually I wouldn't even respond, or more likely I'd respond with something funny and trollish. But in this case, I want every music teacher who's watching this to understand why that comment is bullshit. And again, manifestly so, if we just do a little thought experiment. Do you think I'm wrong about the following? Every exercise a personal trainer does with you is probably available in a book or a video if you look for long enough. Everything you learn in law school is probably buried deep in the volumes of books in some library for free if you had enough time to ferret it all out, etc. I could give more examples. Is personal training valuable because you couldn't find the information anywhere given enough time? Or is it valuable because someone else has spent years synthesizing all the information out there, so you don't personally have to spend years learning to tell signal from noise because they can just tell you what it's important to know in the right order? Not to mention it's helpful having someone evaluate you personally, and free books and YouTube videos don't do that? Assumption the third. Famous players are worth more as teachers just because they're famous. Again, not to argue against this, just going to pose a thought experiment. Is it at least possible that some of the greatest performers don't always know how they got that good? Or how to take somebody who's not as talented or hasn't spent a decade practicing 10 hours a day and show them how to do it? In fact, here's Dave Elitch making the same point for me.
Yeah, a lot of that is just because of the drum set itself. Yeah. You know, it's just easy at the beginning, so no one thinks about this stuff. And then the dudes that did think about this stuff back in the day, all these sort of guru guys, were talking about it in the context of low volume, small venue settings. No one was playing 15,000 seaters in the 40s. So you have these gurus talking about whatever they're talking about, you know, and I'm using gurus in quotation marks. And then you have all these disciples that studied with them who are just going, okay, well, this is what this guy said, so I'm just going to regurgitate it and then teach that.
Another one. Is it at least possible that famous players get a premium because they're famous and great players, and some are also great teachers, and people don't necessarily pay the great players who are great teachers any more than the great players who aren't, if that makes sense? Finally, isn't it possible that what your students want is really a result, and if you can give that to them, you deserve a fair premium commission that people are happy to pay? And I know I talked pretty big about showing you how to charge premium prices as a teacher, and we'll get there, because a lot of this stuff is just mindset. But in the last section of this video, I'm going to debunk some of the mindsets that are holding teachers back when it comes to how to charge premium prices. But first, skis alert, because don't scams exist? Aren't there sleazy internet marketers? Isn't profiteering a thing? Just for instance, why is charging poor people 10 times the market rate for a cab ride just because you're the only cab company that drives a particular route to a certain location not okay? And let's be clear, that's not only not okay, it's disgusting. But charging premium prices for music coaching or instruction is okay. Well, let's cover 3 categories of things I think are a little bit sleazy. And you should never do them. And they're bad for you long term too, because if it got out and people started talking, you could suffer reputational damage. Category the first, pyramid schemes. So, a big reason a lot of internet marketers are kind of skeevy, and I'm not naming any names, is They seem a little bit pyramid-y. I mean, you're charging money to teach people to make money. So when is it legitimately skeezy in my opinion? Well, a pyramid is when a customer of your system makes more money convincing other people to pay them to learn to make money online than they do from actual customers implementing the system. Big rabbit hole, pyramids. If you're interested, I actually wrote a longish post about it on LinkedIn. Link below. Anyway, is charging a premium price to help somebody get better at their instrument a pyramid? Not unless you sold them a system to get their own students, which didn't work, and they only made money by developing their own system for how to get students and selling that to other people. So no, skis category the second. False claims about value. This one's kind of subjective, but in my opinion, promising people they're going to get on stage at Carnegie Hall, guaranteed, as a way to charge a premium price, is only ethical if you're completely transparent about the success rate of your students. So, are music teachers in danger of running afoul of this just because they charge a premium rate? Not as long as they don't guarantee, or in my opinion, even imply unrealistic things. And here's the thing, you don't have to do that. Just demonstrate that your teaching or coaching works for students who put in the work to make them better and enjoy playing more, and there will be plenty of people who are happy to pay you for that. Sleaze category the third. Profiteering. That's basically raising prices for something that would be a commodity if people had multiple ways to get it, just because you happen to have a monopoly. I also think there's an angle here where it has to be a necessity, not a luxury item. More on that later. So, masks during the Flamic were a great example. Some people bought up all the PPE and then raised their prices like crazy. Amazon, rightly, in my opinion, banned this. Another example would be that cab ride. In 2007, I think, my wife and I went out to Long Island so she could get her citizenship. The only cab company available to take people from that office back to the LIRR station put 5 people in a cab and charged everyone the single passenger rate. Why? Because they had no other option besides make the 90-minute walk. And some of the people crammed in the cab with us were clearly poor. Here's a gray area. When everybody bought up all the home gym equipment during the spring of 2020, then marked it up threefold to sell on eBay or Facebook Marketplace. Still sleazy as hell in my opinion, but personal gyms are a luxury item, and you could get a decent work in the park if you had to, or jogging, or running stairs, etc. Plus, if it continued long enough, other sellers would see the opportunity to undercut these guys by lowering their prices. Here's yet another category. First class, or private jets, or jewelry. While they may elicit eye rolls, and you could say they're a harbinger of some class stratification, which is bad, I think most of us would agree these things should not be outlawed. Rich people should be allowed to waste their money on them. So, are music teachers in danger of profiteering because they charge premium prices? In my opinion, no. If you were an admissions counselor at a prestigious music school, and the only way to get into that school was to have a lesson with you, and you charged $30,000 for that lesson, that's coming up a lot closer to the line. But when we talk about music teachers charging premium prices, with so many cheaper and frankly more expensive options out there, the fact that nobody needs music lessons in order to survive, plus the constant risk that if you don't deliver or you mark prices up too high to be opportunistic, your premium prices give your competitors a lot of room to undercut you and still earn a profit, I think it's in the clear. But how do we charge more? For the music teacher who isn't charging premium prices because they're afraid to do it, the first part of this video will hopefully clear up a lot. But you'll quickly run into 2 more problems: the local economy and scale. The last 3 years have taught us the answer to the first one. Plenty of people are delighted to learn remotely. Remote Skype lessons, or probably more accurately Zoom lessons these days, have become a thing. And if you're teaching in person, you're also competing with all the other in-person options in your local area. Yuck. You're gonna compete with School of Rock? With brick and mortar music schools? Good luck. So, say you've got a decent online platform, and a lot of people asking for this video already do, and if you don't, you should get one. Instagram and TikTok are probably the easiest places to start. YouTube I think is higher quality, but it's a bit of a slower burn. But say you've got enough demand for your teaching if you take the entire world as your market. The next constraint quickly becomes your time. If you're only giving one-on-one lessons, it's bad for 2 reasons. First, there are only so many hours in the day. Second, it's actually an inferior experience for students who are denied the opportunity to cross-reference their issues with those of others and kind of have classroom discussions like you would in a lecture hall. I found that the sweet spot is probably 10 to 15 people in a live group. And as I've said, a lot of personalized feedback can be done asynchronously. You don't need to sit on a Zoom call for a whole hour just because somebody needs a little pointer or a coaching adjustment. And they don't want that either. They want that little adjustment and then back to the shed. Okay, have we learned anything today? Ooh, postscript. Music schools. This is hard. Because as a music school grad, I still have a soft spot in my heart. And I genuinely think there are benefits. World-class teachers, lots of good musicians in the same place, connections, serendipity, etc. And I did a whole video on the economics of whether music school is worth it. You can check it out here. But today I want to talk to you about one little bugaboo I've got. Why music schools get a free pass on all the scrutiny people give to individual music instructors. Remember our 3 things that make something sleazy? Let's just gently put music schools through that filter. Are a ton of music school grads really earning a living performing, or are they ending up teaching? Are any of these music schools really disabusing hopefuls of their idea that going to that school is their ticket to fame and stardom like their heroes? Are they touting the real stats on percentage of grads who do which kind of job after graduation? Profiteering, I don't think is a thing. It's kind of a luxury purpose because there are a lot of options. But check out the price tags for a semester of music school. Look, no shade to music school at all. All I'm saying is if people gave as much scrutiny to big institutional music schools as they do to individual teachers just trying to make a living online. But anyway, as a parting shot, if you're reluctant to charge what you're worth as a music teacher, just think of how much somebody's paying for a semester at one of these places. Anyway, hope you've enjoyed this video. This was a nice, good, long rant. And to go completely meta, if you happen to be somebody in the audience who thinks they might benefit from my pretty expensive but also extremely successful personal coaching program, where we don't promise you the moon and the stars, we don't promise you you'll sound like your heroes, but we do promise you if you stick with the program, you'll break through your plateaus, sound better, feel better, and enjoy your playing more. We have a lot of testimonials about it, I recommend you click the link below this player. I'll make sure that link points to the most useful place for you. If it's in the middle of an open enrollment, we'll take you right to the info page so you can grab a free information call. If it's currently closed, we'll take you to a spot where you can get on the wait list. Anyway, dudes, be good. Music teachers, charge what you're worth. See you all again in another Left Hand of the Week. Oh, should we keep the AC on? Should we do this this whole video with AC? I think so. Let's get some AC happening, right? You guys don't give a shit about the sound quality. You want to know that I'm cool. I gotta be fired up, baby. Gotta be fired up. Maybe someone's going to the bathroom. Maybe someone's going to the John. Maybe someone wants to, I don't know. I think that was a sponsor. But let's look at the other side of this. Aren't there sleazy internet marketers? Isn't profiteering a thing? Did I do this already? No, I didn't do it. Yeah, I better increase the tempo by 10 BPM here. Get a little excited. I'm sure one more run through will be the ticket. The difference between success and failure for you guys. So you got that reverb on the amp exactly right? Maybe you need to run it through with everyone in the room to nail it. That's the whole song? There's no outro? Nope. Oh, yeah. Okay, then we go to another tableau. Oh. Whoa, this is a long tableau.